When it comes to cryptocurrencies, chances are you may have heard of a few of them.
Bitcoin,
Ethereum,
Cardano.
Some say Ripple could be the next Bitcoin.
Dogecoin.
But while most of those coins have come to be worth trillions of dollars, there's something on the way which could yet dwarf them all. CBDCs. Central bank digital currencies are coming. In fact, some are already here. China's CBDC, the digital renminbi or ECNY, was launched in 2020. Research for that, though, began almost a decade ago in 2014, and Beijing has said the goal for it is to partially replace cash. We'll have more, by the way, on what's going on in China in our next episode. Nigeria is already using its CBDC, the e-Naira. That's been available for use since late 2021. The government there is reportedly in talks to try and revamp it, however, in order to get full control of the technology. Governments everywhere seem to be in some stage of planning for their own version of these. According to Reuters, more than 100 countries representing over 95% of global GDP have plans for one. According to McKinsey, there's 4 key reasons for this: plummeting cash usage, growing interest in privately issued digital assets, a decreasing sense of central banks as payment innovators, and rising global payments systems. Now, some have welcomed this move. Robert Quartley-Gennaro from Bitrue said most banks are worried about future-proofing their economies. He used the UK as an example.
This is about the Bank of England, in your particular case, saying, look, there's a digital economy that's going to develop beyond our real economy, if you consider it in the physical, real world, and we need to be part of that. And the 2 ways that we can be part of that are by developing our own coin that is used and trusted.
But there are also serious worries about what all of this could mean. There's already a great deal of dissatisfaction with global monetary policies and with central banks in particular. Huge inflation around the world has led to questions over both the competence and the motivations of central bankers. That, in turn, has led to distrust. Some in places like Europe have called for institutions to be brought under greater political control, but others have said that central banks are too political already. Joseph Tiesek is a Bitcoin analyst at Trezor and is one of those warning about the rise of CBDCs. He says the primary motivation of central banks isn't some benevolent form of innovation, rather they're worried about their monetary systems being undermined.
The central banks are just contemplating a sort of a monetary reform to instill more confidence in the financial system. The monetary units in terms of CBDCs can be programmed, meaning it can be given a time-specific or a sector-specific value after which or outside of which the currency units would not be usable, spendable.
CBDCs furthermore have the potential to allow for things like surveillance, and that's been a big criticism of the digital currencies rolled out in China and Nigeria. It's also already spurred legislation in the US to protect users. Some even see CBDCs as being completely incompatible with freedom, but for others, the concern is that regardless of whether governments say they won't use digital currencies to surveil, this could change at a later date.
If this is the policy approach that will be taken by central banks, I'm afraid that this will just make Bitcoin more attractive to users and individuals who, of course, have legitimate interest in protecting their financial privacy.
Bitcoin hasn't escaped the broader fall we've seen in global asset prices, but many continue to point to it as the only alternative to centralized monetary systems. And its potential to, quote, kill central banks is something many have discussed at length.
Bitcoin is decentralized, meaning there is no one institution behind it, and it's neutral, meaning you can use Bitcoin for whatever you want, and you can transact with whomever you want to, and nobody can stop you.
And some clearly feel it is a threat. Policymakers have spoken quite publicly about the challenges posed by decentralized finance and Bitcoin in particular. In the US just this week, a former top advisor to President Joe Biden said a US CBDC is vital.
One of the efforts we made in parallel was to launch the executive order on digital asset regulation and also trying to push our government to launch a digital dollar, which I think is the single best step that we could take because it would crowd out the ecosystem of crypto that allows national security adversaries like Russia to exploit our deficiencies, our weaknesses in terms of our critical infrastructure.
But not everyone sees CBDCs and cryptocurrencies as mutually exclusive.
If you have a wallet that you trust, then that also is going to be a positive for crypto adoption, Web3 adoption, digital economy adoption, because if people trust it, they can then use that wallet to then move money around.
The issuance of CBDC by governments and central banks is actually an admission of the benefits and advantages of crypto assets, specifically those that efficiently form as money substitutes. And it is, the launch of a CBDC is a great advertisement for digital money such as Bitcoin.
They might be inclined more to look for the true alternative. And for the advocates such as me, it might be a little bit easier to point out what is the real threat of the state controlling the monetary system.
For Tiesek and many other Bitcoin advocates, this is the crux of the issue. Do you choose the convenience of remaining inside the financial system controlled by banks and politicians, or do you choose the privacy and control that DeFi can offer?
I'm afraid a lot of people will choose comfort over privacy, over financial sovereignty. And as long as these systems, meaning CBDCs, are useful for people, as long as they buy the groceries, they will just use them.
Whether or not you're worried about CBDCs and how they will change the world's financial system, it won't stop them from happening. The question for you as a consumer is whether you have a choice and what part of money matters to you most. All right, that's it from us for this episode. Do like and subscribe to this video if you want to see more content like it, and please let us know your thoughts about CBDCs or anything else in the comments below or wherever you're watching this video.